Last night, Fox News erupted as Chris Rock clashed with White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt in a fiery showdown, trading savage jabs over Melania Trump. Laughter turned to gasps as Leavitt's sharp rebuttals left Rock reeling, setting the stage for a brutal battle of wits. The studio lights blazed down on the Fox News set, the audience buzzing with anticipation as Chris Rock swaggered to his seat, his trademark grin flashing. Across from him sat Karoline Leavitt, the 27-year-old White House press secretary, her posture rigid, eyes locked on Rock like a hawk. The host, Sean Hannity, barely had time to introduce the segment before Rock launched into his opening salvo. "Let's talk about Melania Trump," he said, leaning forward, voice dripping with mischief. "She's like a luxury prisoner in that marriage, pacing Mar-a-Lago in designer chains, dreaming of Slovenia." The audience roared with laughter, some clapping, others shifting uncomfortably. Rock's delivery was razor-sharp, each word landing like a dart. He painted a vivid picture. Melania, isolated, her public appearances robotic, her smile a mask. "She's the First Lady of Shade," he quipped, throwing it at Donald every time she skips his rallies. The crowd ate it up, their cheers fueling Rock's momentum. Leavitt didn't flinch. Her face was a study in control, lips pressed into a thin line as she waited for the laughter to die down. When Hannity turned to her, she leaned into the mic, her voice calm but cutting. "Chris, that's a cute story, but let's deal in reality," she said, her tone slicing through the room's energy. "Melania Trump is a dedicated First Lady who championed initiatives like Be Best, raised millions for children's charities, and represented this country with grace." She rattled off statistics: Melania's visits to 34 states, her work with foster care programs, her fluency in 5 languages. The audience murmured, some nodding, impressed by the young press secretary's command of facts. Leavitt's eyes never left Rock. "You're a comedian, so I get it. Truth is optional for you. But don't disrespect a woman who's done more for this country than your last 3 Netflix specials combined." The crowd gasped, then erupted in applause. Rock's grin faltered just for a second, but he recovered fast. "Oh, you're coming for the specials now," he shot back, leaning back in his chair, playing to the audience. "Listen, Karoline, I'm just saying what everyone sees. Melania's out here looking like she's serving a life sentence with no parole." The audience laughed again, but the energy had shifted. Leavitt's rebuttal had planted a seed of doubt. Her facts were hard to dismiss. Rock doubled down, mocking Melania's Be Best campaign. Be Best sounds like a slogan for a yoga retreat, not a policy. What's she teaching kids? How to stay silent and look fabulous? The jab landed, but it felt less potent, the audience's laughter more scattered. Leavitt seized the moment. "You're deflecting, Chris," she said, her voice rising slightly, sharp enough to cut glass. "You mock Be Best, but it tackled cyberbullying, opioid addiction, and child welfare, issues you've never touched in your comedy. Maybe you're out of your depth here." The audience clapped again, louder this time, some shouting in approval. Rock's eyes narrowed, his fingers tapping the armrest. He wasn't used to being challenged like this, not by someone half his own age and certainly not on live TV. The tension crackled, the studio air thick with it. Hannity tried to steer the conversation, but Rock waved him off. "Hold up, Sean, let me cook," he said, turning to Leavitt. "You're out here acting like Melania's Mother Teresa, but we all saw her jacket. I really don't care, do you? That's her whole vibe." Leavitt's smile was ice cold. "That jacket was about media distractions, not her heart," she countered. "But let's talk about your vibe, Chris. You're so obsessed with tearing down strong women you forgot how to be funny." The audience exploded, some cheering, others booing. The room split. Rock's jaw tightened, his cool slipping as Leavitt's words hit their mark. He opened his mouth to respond, but Hannity cut in, sensing the escalating heat. "We'll pick this up after the break," he said, but the camera lingered on Rock, his eyes burning with frustration, and Leavitt, serene but unyielding, ready for round two. The Fox News studio crackled with tension as the cameras rolled back, catching Chris Rock mid-glare, his fingers drumming impatiently. Karoline Leavitt sat poised, her icy smile unshaken, as if she'd already mapped out her next strike. Sean Hannity, sensing the powder keg, dove in. "Welcome back, folks." Things got heated before the break. "Chris, you were about to respond?" Rock leaned forward, his voice low, dangerous. "Yeah, Sean, let's clear something up. Karoline, you want to call me out for tearing down women? I'm the guy who's been calling out nonsense for 30 years. You're defending a woman who's been silent while her husband's out here wildin'. That's not strength, that's strategy." The audience erupted, some cheering Rock's audacity, others hissing at the jab. His words were a gut punch, and he knew it, his grin creeping back as he leaned into the chaos. Leavitt didn't blink. Her hands folded neatly. She tilted her head, her voice steady but laced with venom. "Chris, you're not calling out nonsense. You're peddling it. Melania's silence is dignity, something you wouldn't recognize if it slapped you across the face." The crowd gasped, then roared, the room tilting in her favor. She pressed on, relentless. "You've built a career on cheap shots, but when you're faced with facts, you dodge. Let's try this. Name one policy Melania failed at." "Go ahead, I'll wait." Her challenge hung in the air, sharp and unyielding. The audience leaned in, the silence deafening as Rock's smirk faltered. He opened his mouth, then closed it, caught off guard by her precision. The room buzzed, sensing his hesitation. Rock recovered, his voice rising. "Policy? I'm not here to debate policy, I'm here to tell the truth. Melania's out here playing Stepford wife while the country's burning. You're spinning her silence like it's noble, but it's just her cashing checks." The audience split again, some clapping, others booing, but the energy was shifting. Leavitt's calm was unnerving, her refusal to crack under his barbs throwing him off balance. She leaned forward, her eyes locking onto his. "Cashing checks? That's rich coming from a guy who's been coasting on the same tired jokes since the 90s. Melania's worked harder for this country than you ever will, and I've got the receipts to prove it." She pulled out a note card, reading off Melania's diplomatic trips. Egypt, Japan, the UK, each one met with measurable outcomes. The audience clapped, impressed by her preparation, her command. Rock scoffed, waving a hand. "Trips? Anybody can hop on a plane and wave. I'm talking about what's real, what people feel. You think folks out there see Melania as some hero? They see a woman trapped, and I'm just saying it out loud." His voice was sharp, but the audience's response was mixed, some nodding, others unconvinced. Leavitt seized the opening, her tone cutting deeper. "What people feel. You're projecting, Chris. You're the one trapped, stuck in a shtick. That's not landing anymore. Melania's out there building bridges while you're burning them for clout." The crowd roared, her words slicing through Rock's bravado. His jaw clenched, his cool slipping further as he realized she was outmaneuvering him. Hannity tried to steer, but Leavitt wasn't done. "Let's talk about your truth, Chris. You called Melania a prisoner, but you're the one chained to outdated stereotypes, mocking women who don't fit your narrative." The audience gasped, then cheered, her accusation landing like a thunderbolt. Rock's eyes flashed with anger, his voice rising. "Stereotypes? You're out here acting like I'm the bad guy for pointing out the obvious. Melania's not a saint, she's a survivor, and you're pretending it's a fairy tale." He was fighting back, but Leavitt's calm was a wall he couldn't break. She smiled, razor sharp. "Survivor? That's the first honest thing you've said. She is a survivor, and you're just a heckler who can't handle her strength." The crowd exploded, the room electric with her triumph, as Rock's frustration boiled over, his hands slamming the armrest, ready to snap. The Fox News studio was a pressure cooker, the air thick with the aftermath of Karoline Leavitt's verbal knockout. Chris Rock's hands gripped the armrests, his knuckles whitening as the audience's cheers for Leavitt echoed in his ears. Her words, calling him a heckler, dismissing his career, had struck a nerve, and the room could feel it. Sean Hannity, sensing the volcano about to erupt, leaned in, his voice urgent. "Chris, Caroline's throwing some heavy punches here. What's your response?" Rock's eyes burned, his grin gone, replaced by a scowl. "My response? She's out here acting. Like I'm the villain for telling it like it is. Melania's a survivor, sure, but surviving what? A marriage that's a reality show gone wrong. I'm just the guy with the mic saying what everybody's thinking." The audience split, some clapping, others murmuring, but the energy was fractured, Leavitt's dominance lingering. Leavitt's smile didn't waver, her composure a steel trap. She leaned forward, her voice measured but dripping with disdain. "What everybody's thinking? Chris, you're not speaking for the people, you're shouting for attention. Melania's marriage isn't your punchline, it's her life, and she's made it work with more class than you've ever shown." The crowd roared, her words slicing through Rock's defiance. She didn't stop, her tone sharpening. "You say you're telling the truth, but all I hear is noise. You've got no facts, no substance, just recycled jokes that don't land. Step up or step off." The audience gasped, then erupted, her challenge a gauntlet thrown down. Rock's face twitched, his cool unraveling as her words pinned him to the wall. Rock shot back, his voice rising raw with frustration. "Step off? You're out here preaching like you're untouchable, but you're just a mouthpiece for a machine. Melania's class? It's a costume, and you're selling it like it's couture." He turned to the audience, playing for their support. "Y'all see this, right? She's dodging the real talk, acting like Melania's some queen when she's just playing the part." Some in the crowd cheered, but the response was weaker, Leavitt's command of the room undeniable. Her facts, her poise, had shifted the tide, and Rock's barbs were losing their sting. He leaned back, trying to reclaim his swagger, but his eyes betrayed him, darting, searching for an angle. Leavitt seized the moment, her voice cutting like a blade. "A costume? The only one playing dress-up here is you, Chris, pretending you're still relevant. Melania's been a mother, a diplomat, a first lady under fire, while you're out here recycling sitcom punchlines." She pulled out another note card, her preparation a weapon. "Let's talk real talk. Melania's work with military families, $10 million raised, 50 bases visited. What have you done lately besides bomb on this stage?" The audience exploded, some standing, their applause deafening. Rock's jaw dropped, his hands clenching as her words landed like a sledgehammer. He tried to laugh it off, but it came, out forced, hollow. "Bomb? I'm bombing? Look at this crowd, they're with me," he said, gesturing wildly, but the cheers were sparse, the room tilting further toward Leavitt. Hannity jumped in, trying to regain control. "Let's keep this civil, folks." But Rock was spiraling, his voice cracking with defiance. "Civil? She's out here burying me, and you're calling for civil? Nah, let's get real. Karoline, you're young enough to be my kid, but you're acting like you invented the game. I've been speaking truth since you were in diapers." The jab drew some laughs, but Leavitt was unfazed, her eyes gleaming with purpose. "Truth? You wouldn't know truth if it was your opening act," she fired back. "You're not speaking for the people, you're speaking for your ego. Melania's out there doing the work, while you're just yelling into the void." The crowd roared again, her words a final twist of the knife, as Rock's face darkened, his hands slamming the table, the room holding its breath for his next move. The Fox News studio was a battlefield, the audience hanging on every word as Chris Rock's hands slammed the table, the sound reverberating like a gunshot. His face was a storm of fury, his cool shattered by Karoline Leavitt's relentless verbal assault. Her last jab, calling him an ego-driven has-been, had left the room electric, the crowd's roar still echoing. Sean Hannity, sweat beading on his brow, tried to steer the chaos. "All right, Chris, Caroline's coming hard. What's your counter?" Rock's eyes blazed, his voice a growl. "Counter? She's out here acting like she's the queen of truth, but she's just a kid playing dress-up in a big job. I've been in this game longer than she's been alive, and I'm not about to let her lecture me on what's real." The audience split, some cheering his defiance, others booing, sensing his desperation. Leavitt sat back, her expression serene but her eyes lethal. She let Rock's words hang, then leaned into the mic, her voice low, cutting. "A kid? Chris, I'm young, but I'm not naive. You're the one stuck in the past, clinging to a mic like it's a lifeline. Melania's out there shaping lives, while you're just shouting for relevance." The crowd erupted, her precision slicing through Rock's bravado. She pressed on, unyielding. "You keep saying you're speaking truth, but where's your proof? I've given you facts. Melania's charity work, her diplomacy, her resilience. You've got nothing but one-liners and a bruised ego." Her words were a whip, each one drawing blood. The audience leaned forward, some clapping, others gasping, as Rock's face twitched, his control slipping further. Rock shot up in his seat, pointing at Leavitt. "Nothing? I've got the pulse of this country, something you'll never get sitting in your White House bubble. Melania's not a hero, she's a prop, and you're out here polishing her image like it's your job." His voice was raw, but the audience's response was tepid. Leavitt's dominance undeniable. He turned to the crowd, pleading, "Y'all see this, right? She's spinning a fairy tale, and I'm the only one calling it out." But the cheers were weak, drowned by murmurs of approval for Leavitt. Her calm was a fortress, and Rock's attacks were crumbling against it. He sat back, chest heaving, but Leavitt wasn't done. She pulled out another note card, her preparation a silent taunt. "You want the pulse? Here's the pulse. Melania's approval rating among military families is 68%, higher than any first lady in a decade. What's your approval rating? Chris, besides your mirror?" The crowd exploded, her jab landing like a knockout punch. Rock's laugh was bitter, forced. "Approval ratings? You're out here with polls like that's gonna save you. I don't need a survey to know people see Melania for what she is, a woman stuck in a gilded cage, smiling through it." He was grasping, his voice cracking under the strain. Leavitt's smile sharpened, her tone icy. "Stuck? The only one stuck here is you, Chris, trapped in a routine that's bombing live. Melania's thriving, raising a son, leading causes, while you're flailing, chasing laughs that aren't coming." The audience roared, some standing, their applause a tidal wave. Rock's hands clenched, his eyes darting to Hannity. Then, the crowd, searching for an ally. He found none. "You're good, Caroline," he muttered, voice low, venomous. "But you're not winning this. I'm the one people hear, not you." Leavitt leaned forward, her voice a blade. "People hear you, but they're listening to me. You're loud, Chris, but I'm clear. Melania's legacy will outlast your jokes, and you know it." The crowd went wild, her words a final blow. Rock's face darkened, his hands trembling as he shoved his chair back, the screech piercing the studio. "I'm done with this," he snapped, ripping off his mic. "You want to play Saint? Go ahead. I'm out." The audience gasped, some booing, others cheering Leavitt, as Rock stormed toward the exit, his footsteps echoing, the room buzzing with the weight of his defeat. The Fox News studio was a cauldron of chaos, the air charged with the fallout of Chris Rock's dramatic exit. His footsteps still echoed as he vanished backstage, the audience's gasps and cheers for Karoline Leavitt swelling into a deafening roar. Her final words, "Melania's legacy will outlast your jokes," hung like a guillotine, severing Rock's bravado. Sean Hannity, visibly rattled, tried to regain control, his voice straining over the crowd. "Folks, that was intense. Karoline, you held your ground. Any final thoughts? Leavitt, poised as ever, adjusted her posture, her eyes glinting with triumph. Sean, I came here to defend a woman who's been unfairly targeted. Melania Trump is a force, and no amount of cheap comedy can diminish that. I'm just glad the truth got a chance to shine. The audience erupted, some standing, their applause a tidal wave of support. Leavitt's calm was unshakable, her victory undeniable. Backstage, the cameras caught a glimpse of Rock, pacing, his face a mask of fury. He muttered to a producer, "She set me up, man. This was a trap." But the audience didn't see his complaints. They saw Leavitt, radiant under the studio lights, her every word measured, lethal. Hannity leaned in, sensing the moment. "Karoline, Chris called Melania a prop, a prisoner. You've countered with facts, but what do you say to his claim that he's just saying what people feel?" Leavitt's smile was razor-sharp, her voice steady. "Chris mistakes feelings for truth. People feel what they're fed, and he's been feeding them lazy stereotypes. Melania's work, her advocacy, her strength, speaks louder than his noise. The people who matter, the ones who see her impact, they're not laughing at his jokes." The crowd roared again, her words a masterclass in precision, each one cementing her dominance. The studio feed cut to a montage of Melania's moments, visiting troops, comforting children, speaking at the UN. Leavitt's voiceover narrated, calm but commanding. This is the woman Chris Rock mocked, a mother, a leader, a survivor. The audience's applause surged, some wiping tears, others nodding, their support for Leavitt and Melania palpable. Hannity, seizing the emotional peak, turned to the crowd. "You're hearing it here, folks. Karoline Leavitt standing tall for the First Lady. What do you think?" The room exploded, chants of "Karoline!" rising, a stark contrast to Rock's fading presence. Leavitt allowed a small smile, her composure never cracking, but her eyes burned with purpose, knowing she'd turned the tide. Meanwhile, Rock's exit hadn't gone unnoticed. A stagehand's phone captured him storming out, tossing his jacket over his shoulder, his voice bitter. "She's good. I'll give her that. But this ain't over." The clip, already leaking online, only fueled Leavitt's victory. The audience, unaware of his backstage grumbling, remained fixated on her. She leaned forward, unprompted, her voice rising with conviction. "Chris can walk away, but the truth doesn't. Melania Trump's legacy is built on action, not applause. I'm proud to defend her, and I'll do it again tomorrow." The crowd leapt to their feet, their cheers shaking the studio, a testament to her command. Hannity, almost drowned out, shouted, "That's the spirit, Karoline!" But her presence needed no amplification. As the segment closed, the cameras lingered on Leavitt, her silhouette framed against the studio lights, a symbol of unyielding resolve. The audience's ovation carried into the fade-out, Hannity's voice barely audible. "What a night, folks! Karoline Leavitt, ladies and gentlemen." The screen cut to black, but the energy lingered. Leavitt's triumph etched into the moment. Rock's storming out, his mic toss, his bitter words. They were footnotes now, overshadowed by Leavitt's relentless defense of Melania. She'd faced a comedy legend and won, not with jokes but with facts, not with volume but with clarity. The studio emptied, but the story was set. Karoline Leavitt had claimed victory, her star rising, while Rock's retreat marked the end of a battle he couldn't win.